All right. And good day, everyone. And welcome to today's today's session of Truly Foundation in A Course in Miracles with your host and guide and coach and teacher and coach Oliver Blue. And I am so delighted to be here this morning, but I better get this hydration close to me. One moment. Feel like I might need some assistance today with my voice, which has been a little scratchy, but we're going to do this all the same. Hello and welcome back. As I have been on somewhat of a vacation from these sessions, and that was purposeful because we're coming to the end of this 21. No, it's actually 21. We're coming to the end of this 21-month long project where we have been using our course book, A Course in Miracles. And we set out on a journey 21 months ago to complete the 365 lessons that are in the workbook for students section of A Course in Miracles. And as you know, we are past the 21-month mark, and we are finally at the final lessons. We are going to be covering workbook lesson number 361 today, which is the first of the final 5 lessons of this project. And I don't have to say, I hope my expression and my vibration indicates that this has been such a glorious, beneficial journey of transformation for me personally, and hopefully for you. I've never attempted anything so in depth as completing these commentaries on all 365 lessons. And when I started out back on March the 9th, 2022, I had no idea how far I would get into this. I had no idea if I had the wherewithal to get through what I had started. And so now that I am, bringing this to a close, it has been probably the most rewarding 21 months of my life because of the impact that the content in these lessons, the practices that have become a part of my life, the understanding and the expanded awareness and the Christ consciousness that I have received from taking on this project is immeasurable. The impact that it has had on my life personally, professionally, relationally, bodily, on every level. There has been transformation, there has been growth, there has been expansion, there has been decisions to be made, there has been corrections to be made in my life. And I am so happy and I am so grateful that I said yes to the challenge, that I said yes to the opportunity to be a vessel or a vehicle or a conduit to allow this expression of the ideas of the reality and the truth that are set forth in the course to come through me in such a unique way. Believe me when I say that. And now, only having the last 5 lessons to complete the project, I am so thrilled. I am so happy. I am so delighted. And I think even in these last 5 lessons, there is so much to be inhaled. There's so much to grasp in these last 5 lessons, because in reality, all these last 5 lessons really is a culmination of all of the lessons that we've learned. All the other 360 lessons that we have covered here can be culminated in these, what is entitled the final lessons, right? The final lesson. It's like going to the back of the book. I like doing this. Sometimes when I get a new book to read, sometimes I like to go to the back of the book and read the last chapter. I like to begin with the end in mind. I go find out what the end's going to be, right? And then I go back to the beginning and start the journey. Some people would say, "Oh, that's not really that takes the fun out of it, or the intrigue out of it." Or it's like, it's like cheating on a test. Well, what I say is it is the way that the universe would have us to live, and that is to know the end from the beginning. When you know the end from the beginning, when you know the destination, when you have been to the mountaintop, when you have the certainty of knowing that everything is okay. No worries, man. No anxiety. There's no fear. Why? Because we know what is at the end of the journey, at the beginning of the journey. That is really a spiritual concept or spiritual idea, right? That transcend, this whole idea of lineal time, right? But this is it gives you more of a complete view of where you're going and knowing where you're going. Because when you know where you are going, when you know what the destination is, when you understand your identity from Jump Street, then you're able to navigate the journey. Then you're able to enjoy the journey. Then you're able to influence your own journey, your own life, and the lives of others. Because you're absolutely sure. You're absolutely certain about your destination. You're absolutely convinced about your identity. You have an image, right? And when we have an image of things, it removes a lot of confusion. Where there is no image, when we don't have an image, when we don't have an idea, it just generates and creates all kinds of doubt and fear and confusion. But when we have a knowing, when we have clarity, then it helps to promote harmony. It helps to keep you looking at the destination. It keeps you focused. It keeps you it becomes a reminder, right? It becomes a reminder of who you are and where what your destination is. And so, if you're just joining us for the first time, yes, we've been here 21 months going through this mind training, going through what the course calls transformation. you know, Learning the true meaning of forgiveness, understanding the voice that speaks for truth or the voice that speaks for love. We've been expanding our awareness about the purpose of things, the meaning of things, the true meaning of things, what our function is, what we are here to do, what we're here to be, what we are here to give and to share and to solve. Jesus said it this way to kind of culminate all of that by saying, "Ye are the light of the world." That is our function, to be the light of the world. We've learned this. And in learning this and so many other realities about ourselves and about others and about life and about all that we have encountered, it's been a good ride. It's been a joy. Yes, and it's been work. Because if one thing that we can honestly say that we've learned in this 21 months is that we have learned that the mind that we have been given as a gift, and it is a gift, believe me, that marvelous mind that we all been given, comes with it the responsibility to renew it, to train it, to discipline it. That responsibility comes with the gift. Just like with life comes the responsibility of life. We're not just given the gift with no responsibility, but we've been given the gift with the ability to respond to this gift. That's what responsibility is. Responsibility is the ability to respond. And not only do we have been given the responsibility, but we've been given the ability to respond to life. All the elements of life has been given the ability within themselves to respond to life. Life. The animals. The animals that peruse through nature. They've been given the ability to respond to life. The plant kingdom, the vegetation kingdom, the trees and the grass and the flowers, even the weeds, have been given the ability to respond to life. It's called nature, or it's called natural. So it's quite natural for the creation to respond to its natural habitat or to respond to its creator. And that which was made in the image and likeness of the creator, we call it humanity. We have been given the ability not only to respond to life, but we have been given a marvelous mind to understand life and to understand that we have oneness with this life that we have been given. We have oneness with this creator that we've been created by. And we certainly have the ability to love one another. We have the ability to love one another. And we have learned that without this understanding of our oneness, not only with our creator and with one another, and without the understanding of the love that we share, without the understanding of this marvelous mind that we've been given, right, to come to a place of understanding and to become the very reflection of our creator. We understand that this lack of understanding is what has created all the darkness in the world. It is this lack of understanding of our oneness, of the oneness that we share, of the self-interest that we hold for one another as a species. We understand that the lack of that understanding is what has brought on all the pain and all the hurt and all the fear. It has brought on all of the disharmony in the world. It has brought on all of the atrocities that we have seen over the period of thousands of years and what we continue to see today as we look into our present day world and we see this lack of understanding of our oneness and what it creates in the sense of division and strife and anger. It brings on attack. It brings on vengeance. It brings on unforgiveness. We don't have to look far here in 2023. We don't have to go and search for bad news. We don't have to go and pay to see humanity in disarray. It is present even as I speak, as we know the things that are happening in our world in terms of humanity being at odds with one another. And one would ask the question, where is the love? Where is the prevailing love? And my response to that would be, love is everywhere present. Love is everywhere. Jesus said it this way. He said the kingdom of God is spread out among all the world, among all the earth. And men cannot find it. Why? Because they're looking for it in the wrong place. We look for love in the wrong place. We look for love outside of ourselves. We look for love in history. We look for love in the world of form, when that is not where it is. Love has been placed in the renewed mind of humanity. Love has been placed. The remembrance of God, the remembrance of love has been placed in the mind that's been renewed. That's why the renewing of the mind and mind training is the number one goal. It is the most important thing. It is the work of God that we all been given. Because without a renewed mind, there can be no peace. Without a renewed mind, there can be no harmony. Without the renewing of the mind, joy and community and abundance, it gets covered up in a belief in separation. It gets covered up in the idea that we are these separate individual selves that are separate and apart from one another and separate and apart from our Creator. And we allow the labels of this world, we allow the systems that we have built that are not based on equality and oneness and love. We allow these systems to create a culture that ends in the results that we see, that we know that they are not a reflection of love. So what is the correction? The correction is the same as it was in the beginning. It now is and shall be forever. And the correction is the renewed mind. The correction is, as Paul said it in Romans, when he uttered these words, he said, "Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the what? By the making new, or by the renewing of the mind." In other words, it is our responsibility to take this marvelous instrument, this marvelous gift that we've been given, which is the mind. It's our responsibility. It's like when a child is born, it's the parent's responsibility to train the child. It is the parent's responsibility to discipline the child so that the child does not harm himself or harm others. Likewise, it is humanity's responsibility to take this marvelous mind of ours and renew it, bring it into alignment, and in integrity with the will of God, with the will of love. And that takes work. That is the work of God. To bring our mind into the subjection of the truth. And that is a lifelong work. It never stops. The moment we allow our ability to grow, the moment that we allow our ability to expand and our awareness and our consciousness to expand, the moment we give up on life, the moment we stop allowing the mind to grow and allowing the mind to be expansive, is the moment that we start what we would call the death process. Because we're designed to grow. The purpose of life is growth. The purpose of life is expansion. Because we are these growth beings. We are these expanded beings. We are made in the image and likeness of our Creator, which is infinite and timeless and formless. That is our true nature. It's to always be learning, to always be growing, to always be expanding, to always be loving. That is the formula. That's the secret sauce, I guess, if you might say. And according to the Course in Miracles and the revelation that has been set forth in this spiritual document, this is exactly the solution to what we would call the world's problem. We have to know who we are. And in knowing who we are, we come to understand that we have one purpose. There is only one purpose. There is only one will. And we share that one purpose, that one will. We have a shared interest with one another. Our interests are not divided. Our interests are not that much difference. We all desire basically the same thing: love and joy and peace and abundance. We all have the same desires. It's a matter of how do we go about to achieve them. That's where we've gone wrong in some places. not only individually, but collectively. We have gone wrong. As a nation, we've gone wrong and how to achieve that. We've divided ourselves in so many segments and have all gone after the basics of peace and joy and love and abundance in such a way that we feel like we can't have it without the demise of another group or another nation or another family or another race or another gender. And all this comes from that tiny mad idea, as the Course tells us, where we have this belief in separation, that we do not believe that we're one, that we do not believe that we are of one blood, of one life, of one creator, of one breath. We don't believe it. We believe in specialness, that there is something special about me, or there's something special about my family or my community or my race. There's something special about my religion, or there's something special about my politics or my political party. There's something special about my team versus your team. There's something special about my point of view versus yours. There's something special. This whole idea of separation and the belief in it, right? Because separation in and of itself is nothing. It is when we believe in the separation. It's when we believe in the division. That's where the power is. We've given our power over to an idea. It's called the ego. But it's the belief in that idea that have created this idea about specialness, about we're special. We're not special. We're equal. We're one. We're equal. We're one. There's no specialness in equality. There's no specialness in oneness. There's only specialness in an ego-driven idea of the belief in separation. And so here we are in these final lessons. That was my prelude. That was my preface. That was my introduction as we start these final 5 lessons. And I'm going to let me start out by reading the lesson itself, right? And then I'm going to backtrack to talk about a few things that is shared here in the introduction of this last section on page 485 of the workbook lesson for students. If you're following along in the book, we're in part 2. And so the lesson actually reads like this. And all of our last 5 lessons, the lesson is the same. There's no more words to be given. The Course says we've used words over the last 21 months, and we've overused the words, right? But here in the last 5 lessons, it says we're not going to use a lot of words. Why? Because we've used words to get us to where we are. In fact, it says our final lessons will be left as free of words as possible. We can overtalk. It says, but the final lessons will be left as free as possible of words. We use them, we've used words, but at the beginning of our practicing, we've used a lot of words over the last 21 months. It says we've used them at the beginning of our practices, and only to remind us that we seek to go beyond them. So the goal of the Course, or the goal of the workbook lessons that we've embarked on, is to go beyond words. Why? Because remember, we say here that the Course says that words are twice removed from reality. What does that mean? What is reality? It said words are twice removed from the real thing, right? So what that means is that, you know, we are these infinite, eternal beings. That's who we are. That's who you are. In reality, there's only the infinite. There's only the eternal. There's only the timeless, and there's only the formless, right? Because anything that is temporary is not real. And we know from our own living that we live in a space that everything is changing, everything is moving all the time. There's nothing that really stands still in your life. Things are always moving. Things are always changing on every level. But in reality, everything remains the same. In reality, everything is what it is. Everything is one. There are no opposites in reality. And so when we embrace that reality as our very own, which it is, then words which are very limiting, words which are very finite, cannot adequately describe that which is infinite. Let me say that again. That which is finite cannot adequately describe that which is finite, infinite. And being infinite beings, words are limiting. And we only use them as pointers to point us to the reality of who we are and what life really is. And so we have to communicate. So we use words. But here we're saying we use them in the beginning, but now we're coming to the end. And so we're going to use as little words as necessary, right? Because the words have served their purpose. They have pointed us to the truth. And the truth is, God is, therefore we are, therefore I am, therefore you are what God is, and God is what you are. The Course says it this way, with as little use of words as possible. The Course says it this way. The Course says, God is, and we cease to speak. There's nothing else to say, because in that statement, God is, it is all encompassing. God told Moses to tell him, I am that I am sent you. Just a few words, right? I am sent you. Jesus said it this way. It is finished. He said, it is finished. It is done. It is complete. And so it is. Or we use the word amen. So it is. So we don't need to use a lot of words, but we have been trained and conditioned to use a lot of words. And when we use a lot of words, especially when the words are not in alignment with the truth, they tend to get us in a pickle. Even in the book of Proverbs, the wisdom teacher instructs us to use as few words as you can. Because the more we talk, the less we listen. Or the more we talk, the more we tend to get to talk about things that are not true. Things that are not lovely. And so you ever notice a man with few words? He's not a troubled man. You ever notice a person with a lot of words? In many cases, they are a troubled person, because they're trying to talk their way out of the fear, out of the anxiety, talk themselves out of what they've talked themselves into. And so we use words at the beginning of our practice, and only to remind us that we seek to go beyond words. Because in reality, we transcend words. Who you are transcend words. There is not a word that can adequately describe you. Our government name and our government number, that doesn't adequately describe us. Your given name and your government number limits you. It's a limitation. In fact, it makes demands on you. Your government name makes a demand on you, and your government number makes a demand on you. It's called tax. Because without them, they couldn't identify you to get your tax. I'm not anti-tax. I'm just sharing what it is. So let us turn to him who leads the way and makes our footsteps sure. So instead of a lot of words, the instruction in today's lesson is let us turn to him who leads the way and makes our footsteps sure. So who is this him that the course is referring to here? It says, to him we leave these lessons. Ooh, to him we leave these lessons, as to him we give our lives henceforth. So the lessons, these final lessons, not only do we give to the one who leads the way and makes our footsteps sure, but we also give our entire life over to this one. We give our very lives to this one to lead the way, to make our footsteps sure. For we would not return again to the belief in sin. Because we have learned here that sin is not a reality. It's a belief. It's a false belief. That in reality there is no sin. Even in our human experience, there is no sin. The Course says there is error, there are mistakes, and errors and mistakes, they can be corrected. But the whole concept of sin, which we created, humanity, is that they can't be corrected, or they cannot be corrected, but they have to be atoned for. It requires a life. It requires blood. It requires sacrifice. That's the idea that is attached to the belief in sin. That something has to die. Who came up with that idea? Think about that. And so because of that idea, how many innocent people, how many innocent animals have been sacrificed from that tiny mad idea, and the belief in the idea of separation, because sin is no more than the belief in separation, that we've been separated from our Creator. Therefore, we're separate from one another. And then therefore, all of us become this great wave of sacrifice. All of creation becomes a great sacrifice. Everything must be sacrificed on the altar of death. This is the idea that we dreamed up. This is not a God idea. I don't care where it came from or what source it came from. Sin is not a God idea. Love is a God idea. And in love, there is no darkness. There's only light. So where did the idea come from? We would have to have fallen asleep to the reality of love in order to imagine anything else, because love is all encompassing. So where did this tiny mad idea come from? Where did it come from? In reality, it didn't come from anywhere. Why? If love is all there is, it cannot come from anywhere. It's just an idea that we dreamed up when we denied the truth, when we denied our own identity, when we denied our own oneness with each other and our own oneness with God. When you deny the truth, when you turn off the light, guess what? Darkness awaits you. When you deny the truth, guess what? Falsehood awaits you. When you deny forgiveness, guess what? Unforgiveness awaits you. When you deny compassion, when you deny abundance, guess what? Poverty awaits you. So all of this false belief system, we call it the ego thought system, is no more than what becomes available when we deny the truth. Jesus said, I am the truth, I am the way, I am the life. No one comes to this reality but by me. But by what? The truth, the way, and the life. He wasn't talking about him personally. He was talking about that we all are a part of this one reality called God, this one reality called love. And that is all there is. No one can have this direct experience without coming through the way of love, by coming through the way of the reality of our oneness with one another, without coming through the way of this understanding. To love God and to love your neighbor, because God and your neighbor is yourself. So it comes through understanding. Grace and peace has always been multiplied to us through one way, through the knowledge, through the knowing, through the understanding of who we are. That's why Proverbs say, in all you're getting, get understanding. in all you're getting, get what? Get understanding. And so, for we will not return again to the belief in sin that made the world seem ugly and unsafe, that made the world seem to be attacking and destroying, that made the world seem dangerous in all its ways. Now, what I'm describing here is the void that is created when we deny love, when we deny the truth, when we deny our very own reality. It leaves a void, and that void is filled with seeming ugly, unsafe, attacking, destroying, and dangerous and treacherous as a substitute to reality. For we would not return again to the belief in sin, but it all comes from the belief in sin, or sin consciousness. And where does sin consciousness come from? It comes from a rejection of the truth. It's not a sin of commission. It is a sin of omission, where we omit to embrace the truth of who we are. And we take on a falsehood. We take on a false self. We take on a false identity. And in that falsity, there is this release. There is this experience. Like it says here, it seems that the world seems ugly and unsafe and attacking and destroying and dangerous in all its ways and treacherous beyond the hope of trust and the escape from pain. It says, his is the only way to find peace. The only way to find peace, the peace that God has given us, it comes one way. It comes one way. It said, it is his way that everyone must travel in the end. So here we're getting into what God has promised for all of us, what love has promised, what love has guaranteed, what love has sweared by when it could find no greater to swear by, that it had truly blessed all creation, that all creation is blessed. All humanity is blessed. All of the creation has been blessed. Paul picked up on it in Ephesians 1 when he said that even before the foundation of the world, that God had predetermined, or love had predetermined, that we should be holy and without blame before him. How? In love. So love is the way. It's the only way. And these 360 lessons that we have gone through prior to today has all been pointing us to the one way, which is love. But you cannot hold any other ideas in your mind, in your heart, and try to mix and mingle it with love. Love is all encompassing. Love must be complete. Your love must be complete. That's why to hold a grievance against anyone, even yourself. That's why if you're holding any kind of grievance, love feels like it can't be sustained. That's why if you withhold your forgiveness towards anyone, it seems like the peace comes and goes, or the peace is elusive, or the joy comes and goes, or the joy is elusive in my life. Relationships are difficult. My mind wanders all over the place and thinks all kinds of things. This is just the residual of not what fully embracing love and love only. Because this is who you are. This is who your creator is. And it said over in 1 John that what this perfected love, or this mature love, it casteth out all fear. It removes all anxiety, all doubt. So it's about our acceptance or our rejection. Do we accept the truth of who we are? The Course says that we remain as God created us. The Course in Miracles says that we have been created before the foundation of the world, and that creation is impossible to be altered or to change. So who we are, that we really do, we remain as God's creation. We remain as the creation of love. And we remain exactly what love is. And that we're not these special, separated, individuated beings, but we are one being. We are of the one love. We are of the one creator. We are of the one family. We are of the one household. We are of the one breath. We're not divided. We're not separate, and we're not special, but we are one. Our elder brother said it this way: I and my Father are one. When you've seen me, you have seen my Father, because there's no difference. Do you? Is this the reality that you hold about yourself? This is the reality that it takes. This is the way that he's talking about here. This is the truth that is true always. That all the history of life, all the drama of life has been pointing us to this reality, because therein lies our freedom. Your freedom lies in truth only. And I know it appears to be a big pill to swallow when we have been indoctrinated, when we have been mentored, when we have been conditioned for so many thousands of years to the contrary. But it is truth and truth alone that will set you free. And the truth is, in these final lessons, that you're already free. I'm not trying to convince you of your freedom. I'm not here trying to convince you or to convert you. I am here to inform you or to remind you of what is true and true always about you. You are already free. Jesus said, who the Son has set free is what? He's free indeed. But we have spent these 21 months helping to what? Renew the mind that is still afraid. Some of the residual effect of the belief in sin, guilt, and fear has created this residual effect or this resistance to the truth. And I'm only here, Truly Foundation is only here as a voice to point all of us back to the truth that is true always. Jesus said what? Do this in remembrance of me. He wasn't talking about him as a person, but me representing the symbolic of what is true about all of us. Do this in remembrance of the love that we share. Do this in remembrance of the one Father that has created all of us. Remind us who we are. So it's always been about our identification. We make it about the money. We make it about the relationships, right? We make it about the property, right? We make it about the family. We make it about a lot of things in this world. And all of that is just a distraction or a smokescreen to keep us from looking where we really need to look, where we really need to look. It has always been about our identity. It's always been about who we are. It's always been about your sinlessness. It's always been about your infinite reality. It's always been about your eternal self. Your formless self, your timeless self, that self that God said to Jeremiah that he knew even before you was in a womb, even before your parents gave you a body. God said, I knew you. Therefore, we existed before time and space. We existed before we was given a government name and a government number. That is your reality. And we've been here. And we come here only to find and to discover that reality. We're on a mission to discover who we are. We're on a mission to come to grips with our reality, with our sinlessness. We come here to come to grips that we are one with life and life is one with us. This is our final lesson. I told you, all the 360 lessons we've done up until this point, they're all wrapped up in these last 5 lessons. And we're going to be getting down like James Brown, dancing to the end. So stay with me. Let's have fun with it. Look, we ought to be the happiest people in the world. When you come to discover your true self, when you really come to know who you are, you become the happiest. Jesus said, he calls it light. You become the light of the world. Why? Because you realize what you have, all things yours. That you're not looking for love, you're not looking for joy, not looking for peace, you're not looking for anything. Why? Because you are the possessor of all things. Because all things were given to you in creation. So we don't go to the party looking to have some fun. We don't go to the game looking for some joy. We don't look to anything in form to give us what we already have. But we take our life, which is everything. We take it to the party. We take it to the game. We take it to the synagogue or to the church or to the mosque. We take our joy and our peace and our reality. We take it everywhere we go, to the grocery store, to the post office. We take it and we share it with all we will share it with all humanity. That's why you'll never see me out in public down in the dumps. I may have a few private moments, right, that I have to get over myself. But you would never see me in public down in the dump. Why? Because I take my stuff with me. I'm not going out there looking for anything. There's nothing out there. There is no peace if it doesn't come from you. There is no joy if it doesn't come from you. There is no happiness if it doesn't come from you. That's why these things that we go look for is to try to get something out of it. And it only lasts a fleeting moment. Why? Because there's no reality in that. You are the possessor of the thing. And so now we've learned through the Course of Miracles and through scripture and through other spiritually inspired books and voices that if we want more of something, we don't look outside of ourselves. It's already in consciousness. It's already in our conscious. And the way we experience more of something is to give it away. The way you experience more love is to give it away. The way you experience abundance is to give away from your own abundance. The way you experience more happiness is to give away your happiness to others. The way of life is to serve. Jesus said, I didn't come here to be ministered to, but I came here, to minister. I came to serve. So true love is reflected in our service. Who are you serving? True love is reflected in our service to humanity, to one another. It's not what we take from one another. It is what we give to one another that brings about the lived experience of the love that we share. He said it this way: they will know about me, about the truth, about reality, because of your love for one another. This is the final lesson, guys. We've been going 21 months just to get here, to say it's all about our love. It's all about love, because love is all there is. But when we have a mind that is undisciplined, a mind that is untrained, and we're trying to have the experience, the human experience, with an undisciplined mind and an untrained mind. So we have to put the work in. We have to renew the mind. We have to be transformed from the thinking of this world. So that's where we should be spending the majority of our time. Not just using a lot of words. But reminding the mind of who it is. Reminding our mind through repetition, through mentoring and coaching, that it is not in charge. The truth is in charge of your life. So that is the work of God. If you didn't know, you know now. That is the work of God, is the renewing of the mind. That is what real mature spirituality is. Real mature spirituality is a renewed mind, because without it, there is no real mature spirituality. You can't sing your way. You can't tithe your way. You can't. I think I'm getting into some people's back pocket right now. You can't praise your way. Into a renewed mind. You have to work your way. And I'm not talking about an unfinished work. You have to use the finished work, the Christ mind. You have to use the finished work to renew the mind. And what is the finished work? The finished work is the truth that God is, therefore we are. That whatever God's reality is our reality. That we're to have the mind of Christ, which says what? That I have equality with my Creator. That I and the Father are one. That I and my brother are one without exception. We cannot hold one exception. Not one. Love must be all encompassing. And love has forgotten no one. So when we hold one in contempt, when we hold one in unforgiveness, we have to leave the 99, like our brother said, and go what? Take care of the one. Because the one that we hold in contempt, or the one that we hold at bay, is the one that keeps you from experiencing your full, true, loving self. Love must be total. So all of the grievances, all of the unforgiveness, they have to be let go. And when we let go of all of these things that keeps us apart, the only thing that remains is the one thing that is the oneness that we share. And it's in the oneness that we share that you will find that you have everything. Wow, man. I didn't know this was going to go like this. But when you have given, what did it say here? It says, let us turn to him who leads the way and makes our footsteps sure. To him we leave these lessons, as to him we give our lives henceforth. So when you give your life over to the only life that there is, the way is already made. So this lesson was already done. I'm just going along for the ride with you, not separate from you, but with you, not as your teacher, not as your guide, but I point you to the teacher and to the guide and to the coach and to the voice of God that is inside of all of us. I'm only here as a reminder to turn you within, to turn myself within and hear the voice that speaks the truth always. The memories of God has been placed in all of our minds. He's there. But we have to remove all of the rubbish and all of the shrieking noises of this world, all the voices, the many voices that are out in the world that is vying for our attention, trying to get us to focus and to concentrate outside of ourselves. While all the time, that still small voice that is always present. He said, I'll be with you even to the end of the age. That still small voice that is always present within you. In quietness, in stillness, is waiting for all of us to turn within. So we can what? So we can get our what? So we can get our instructions, I might say. So we can get our affirmation, so I might say. So that we can be reminded of the truth that is true always. So I might say. So I'm going to finish up lesson 361 by finish reading the few words that it has given us. It says, this holy instant, this is our lesson for the next 5 days. That in this instant, it calls it the holy instant. What is the holy instant? It's always the present moment. It's always the present moment. Because in reality, there's only the present moment. There is no past, there is no future. There's only this present moment. We can only do something about this present moment. Nothing else matters. None of your past matters. None of your future matters. The only thing that matters that is in this present moment, this holy instant. And so it says, this holy instant would I give to you. Let that be your present moment declaration of your freedom in God or in love, is that in this holy instant you give it to love. You give it to God's purpose. You give it to the universal purpose. You give it to the oneness that we share in this holy instant. What I give to you. Be you in charge. Love be in charge. When we allow love to be in charge in this holy instant, everything else get discharged. When we make a decision to allow love to be what it is, not only in us, but as us, we discharge everything else. And so it says, be you in charge, for I would follow you. I will follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace. So peace must be the goal. It's the number one goal of all humanity. Certain that your direction gives me peace. So in this holy instant, we give the charge of our reality to the truth that's true always, to love and to God. We give it in this holy instant, certain that the direction, meaning clarity, you get direction, that means you get clarity, certain that we will get clarity, and that clarity is what will give us peace. Clarity about who we are, clarity about who humanity is, clarity about our function and our purpose. It gives us peace. Because without purpose, without function, without clarity, without vision. We suffer needlessly and we wander aimlessly. But with it, with clarity, right? It brings us peace. It brings us peace. And if we need a word to help us, if we need a word to help us, He will give it to us. Truth will give it to you. Love will give it to you. Don't let the he and the you confuse you here. These are just the limitations of words. But the idea here is reality, truth, love. They're all synonymous. It will give you a word of help if you need it. It says, if you need a thought, that love will also give you the thought. Reality will also give you the thought. God will also give you the thought. Whatever you hold in your experience as the supreme being, that's what it's referring to. All of it's symbolic. Words are no more than symbols. It's the principal thing. What is the principal thing? What's the principal law? We use the word God. Other people use other things. They say the higher power, or we say the universe. It doesn't matter. It's all referring to the same thing. Some calls it Buddha. Some calls it the Christ. Some calls it Jesus. Some calls it we got all kind of names out here, but we have labeled as our special path, right? But there's only one. There's only one God. There's only one Savior. There's only one reality. So when we put down all the labels, all the specialness, then maybe we might be able to get somewhere. Maybe we may be able to see the oneness that we share. But we're all caught up in words and labels and paths. We all want to belong with some group. There's nothing wrong with that. But when the group doesn't promote oneness, it's going to lead you astray. And if I need but stillness and a tranquil and open mind, these are the gifts I will receive of Him. So truth has everything that you could ever need. Reality has everything that you would ever need. Stillness, tranquil, open mind. He is in charge by my request. He is in charge by my request. What request are you making? And He will hear and answer me, because He speaks for God, our Father. And He speaks for the one Son that we are. What is that speaketh? The remembrance of God, the voice that speaks for God. The one voice that we all share. The voice for truth. What are you asking? What are you requesting? When you come to renew the mind, you come to realize that there's no really need to ask. There's no need to request, because you come to understand that it just is. That reality is. Love is. Who we are as one creation of God is. And it cannot be altered or changed regardless of what we see happening. Regardless of what the history tells us. regardless of what those who appear to be in authority tells us. If it doesn't align with the truth, it will not bring peace. So there you have it. Workbook lesson 361. We got 4 more to go. Stick around. You don't want to miss this. This is an epic ending. This is a life-changing ending. And the good news is, but it's been that way all the time. When you renew the mind, you maintain the ending. You know what the end's going to be. So then there's no worries, man. If you know what the end's going to be, there's no worries, man, right? That's why Jesus said, fear not. These things going to happen. They're going to hear rumors of wars. You're going to see wars and rumors of wars, earthquakes in diverse places, all kind of destruction, all kind of stuff going to be going on around you. He said, but fear not. The end is not yet. The end is never until you wake up. The end is not until every one that has taken on the image of God, to all humanity, has awakened to the truth that is true always. That's the end, where God makes the final step, where love takes the final step, and the dream is over. The dream is over. When you wake up from a dream, you ever notice when you wake up from a sleeping dream, the dream is over. And you say, oh my God, it wasn't real. The dream is over. And so when humanity wakes up, one by one, when humanity wakes up, the dream is over. When you wake up, the dream is over for you. Paul said, awake unto this righteousness and don't believe in sin. Wake up to this reality and let go of all your false belief about who you are. Let go of all the false belief that you believe about your brother. Let me stop because I get cranked back up. Y'all know me now. Have a blessed day. We'll see you on our next session when we will be going into lesson 362. All right. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.